Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Are Manchester United about to be purchased by Qatar? Big developments going on. We've spoken about this. There is a 10 o'clock deadline for Friday for these, what they're calling a soft deadline for people to put their bids in. The first thing to say very quickly, as a £5 billion bid is expected to go in from Qatar as their opening bid, is that these are opening bids. They're not final bids. The way this is going to work is the way it works when you're selling a house. You get people to come and look at it. You put it on the market for a certain price. People put a bid in. You assess how many bids there are, and then you go, right, final bids. And then people put their final bids in. So Sky News have got some significant updates. We've had journalists from Qatar, we've had Bloomberg, we've had the lot talking about this, but the significant update is this, and there's an article from Sky Sports News as well, which I think we need to dissect. But effectively, the Qatari Royals plan a $5 billion opening bid for Manchester United. This is coming in via Sky News, and that's the big update. Qatar $5 billion opening bid. It probably won't be their final bid. And how many other people are going to bid for Manchester United, because Saudi Arabia has been mentioned now, as well as Sir Jim Ratcliffe and America. It's the beginning of the end game for us, and I think the most relevant point about this is that overseeing all of this is absolutely none of our involvement. None of us get a say in this. We don't. It's about what the Glazers want, and what the Glazers want is money. But let's go through it. The Glazers want at least $5 billion for Manchester United. This is coming in from Sky Sports News. But Qataris are determined not to overpay. Insiders say they will not dance to the Glazers' tune if they decide to bid. The Qataris are ready to spend significant sums to restore the team and the club's infrastructure to its former glories. The attraction to Manchester United is obviously that they've just had the World Cup and they want to build on that. Sky Sports News understands investors from the United States and Saudi Arabia will also bid for the club alongside Sir Jim Ratcliffe's Ineos Group, who have already made their intention to bid public knowledge. So look, that's where we're at. A Qatari bid for Manchester United would lead to significant investment being made in the team, Old Trafford and the city of Manchester, and would have the blessing of the Emir Qatar Sheikh Sam Tamim Al Thani, who is a Manchester United supporter. Qatar and the bid from Saudi Arabia are expected to be the only ones which would not rely on borrowed money to finance the deal. Now, that might prick up some of the ears of Manchester United fans. I don't think it pricks up the ears of the Glazers. At the end of the day, if Qatar say we've got £5 billion of our own money to buy the club, and then Sir Jim comes in and says, well, I've got £6 billion, but I've borrowed some of it from Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, the Glazers will take the £6 billion because they still get £6 billion. It's where it comes from doesn't really matter. Elon Musk has been mentioned, of course, but we're not so sure about that. And there's another bidder who has declared his interest in United, which is Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who's working on a deal with US investment firms, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. Qatar obviously does have the PSG thing going on. Effectively, what Sky Sports are saying is that, and this is a direct quote that is coming in, that they've been told to expect 3 or 4 serious bids for 100% of Manchester United. There are some random bids out there as well, and the Rain Group will try and cobble those groups together to make it into one bid, which sounds very concerning, doesn't it? We saw it with Chelsea, where there were some people who made bids, decided to join up together to improve their chances. I mean, I don't really want a mismatch of people who want to buy United joining together, because that would just be chaotic if they got hold of us. If you want to buy Manchester United, you'd have already got in touch with the Rain Group investment group based in New York who are marketing the sale. All you have to do is send an email or a letter, one single paragraph if you want, of how much your bid is, how much of Man United you want to buy, and your proof of funds. But that last one is not going to be a problem for the Qatari royal family. So that's all they're looking for tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. An email that says what your bid is, where your funds are coming from, and how much you want. I mean, how many emails are they going to get? And effectively, it goes on to say that you'd be worried that the Qataris have come in and said they definitely want to buy Man United. If you look at the money they have, the investments they have made in the past over a big variety of businesses, they don't normally lose out if they want something. If they decide they want to buy Manchester United, they will go all out to get it. The only point to make is that Qatari investors will not overpay. They will not dance to the Glazers' tune when it comes to price. And if you look at the investments they've made in the past, PSG, for example, were worth 3 to 4 billion. They bought the club for around 60 to 70 million. The Saudi Arabians who bought Newcastle bought the club for 300 million. The Qataris have this image. They are exceptionally wealthy people, but they will not throw money at the Glazers. They want a deal that makes sense for them. That's because so much money needs to be invested into United, especially in the infrastructure. So, look, there's a few things to dissect there. Obviously, I'm intrigued if we're going to find out who's going to bid for Man United. We know Sir Jim, we know Qatar. There's mention of Saudi Arabia. There's mention of a fourth bid, maybe a fifth bid. There's also mention that Qatar don't lose when they go in for things, but on the other hand, they won't overpay. I think this is really not about what we think. I think there are fans that really want the Qatar ownership because it's like we'll dominate football. There's fans out there who don't like the idea of that. We'll have to work through that as a fan base. But on the other hand, there is still the overarching thing that the Glazers will decide. And the Glazers will go for the biggest. But there is no other horse in this race. The Glazers do not care if Qatar wins or Saudi Arabia wins or Sir Jim wins or America wins. They don't care. This is the get out. I would argue that a couple of the Glazers, Avram and Joel, probably don't even want to go. They're going because everyone's saying it's time to go. So for them, the only thing they get from this is they're not going to leave with an applause. No one's going to applaud them when they go. They don't have a legacy here. Their legacy is to take as much money as they can. There is no reason to go with the best bid for 5 billion when the worst bid is offering 6. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that is what's going to happen. They are going to go with the biggest bid. If you really want Manchester United, all you've got to do is finance it to about 6 billion and you'll get it. If you offer 6 billion, you will get that football club. And I think it's going to be really interesting because, as I say, it's like if you really want a house and you know 4 or 5 people are looking at it. If you really want your dream house and you've got the money to buy it, but you don't want to overpay for it, they'll normally go to sealed final bids. So you don't know what anyone else is going to offer. The Glazers are rubbing their hands together. The Rain Group are running their hands together. Everyone puts a bid in of 5 billion, let's say, and then they go, we're going to sealed final offers. You've got no idea what Sir Jim's going to offer. You've got no idea what Saudi Arabia is going to offer. You've got no idea what Qatar or America is going to offer. There is this assumption that Qatar will get Manchester United, and I think they probably will. But if those final bids go in as sealed final bids, then ultimately whoever offers the most will get the club, unless Qatar just say, no matter what anyone offers, we'll offer more, which they may well not do. So it looks like Qatar will get Manchester United at this moment in time because of the buzz around it. But it's sort of contradictory, some of the stuff that's coming out. Everyone's saying, well, they never lose when they want something. But then they're saying, but they won't overpay. Well, I'm thinking, well, if they won't overpay and they're not going to pay any more than 5 billion, if somebody offers 5.5, they'll get it because the Glazers are only interested in the money. So I wouldn't say it's over yet, but I think you've got to take into account that Qatar is the story and it's been the story for a week and a half. Is there a twist in the tail with this? Is it the right thing for Manchester United? I almost feel sorry for Sir Jim Ratcliffe, by the way, as well, because I think he was a very popular choice to get the job to buyers because he's a fan of the club, local lad. And I think it ticks a lot of the boxes. And I think he's become, to some fans, almost disrespected because, he's not super wealthy like the Middle East. And I think that in some ways that's very, very sad because he could be a really good owner of Manchester United. He might have really good plans for Manchester United. And he still could be the owner of Manchester United. I think the most important thing is pick a horse, pick a horse that you want to win the race. But you don't really know what the plans are. You don't know what the plans are, and you therefore cannot start dismissing people and saying this is right and this is wrong. We will get what we get, and then we will decide over the next 18 months, 5 years, whether they're good owners or not. I think on the pitch, you see what Ten Hag's doing, and there's a very clear blueprint. Give him money, give him control. You look at PSG, and you see managers that weren't given control. They were given players, but they weren't given control, and it didn't work. I think at Man United, we really just need the investment. We need the new stadium, we need the infrastructure, and we need Ten Hag to be given what he needs, and we will be successful. It's a very clear blueprint. I'm just hoping we get the right owners with the right wealth and the right ideas and the right, intent to give Ten Hag what he wants, and I think we will soar as a football club. but it's going to be very interesting. I'm very excited, and I'm not nervous. I'm very excited about the next 24 hours. But in summary, 5 billion bid from Qatar. Will anybody else go that high? We might go for 5 billion. We're talking about 6 billion, and we've been talking about 6 billion for a long time. If they bid 5 billion, that's probably a 1.5 billion more than we're actually worth on the stock exchange. So will anybody else go that high for Manchester United? The bids will go in. They won't be the final bids. There is still going to be some story in this, but I hope tomorrow night we know who's bidding, because that should be it. It should be shut down then. If an Amazon comes in, which is unlikely, we would know. But we should know. I want to know. I don't know whether it will come out, but I want to know who's coming in for us tomorrow night, because although we won't have any say in it, it'd be very interesting to know who wanted to buy our football club. Simon Jordan said something very interesting on TalkSport today. Football fans are just customers. Whoever buys the club, it's their club. It's not the fans' club. I disagree with that. Manchester United will always be the fans' club. The Glazers owned it. They run it into the ground, but it was still our club. The soul of the club is the fans. The ownership title and deeds, okay, someone's going to buy that. But nobody can take... We're not customers to this football club. Manchester United, the Busby Babes, Sir Matt Busby, Sir Alex Ferguson, all we've done and all that we are, that is the fans. You know, I've got family members that are no longer with us who loved Manchester United. Don't tell me that Manchester United were just customers and that it's owned by somebody else. They can buy the brand, they can buy the PLC, they can buy the title deeds, whatever, but they'll never own the soul of that football club. That will always be the fans. So yeah, look, let's see what happens. It's going to be very interesting. Make sure you smash a like on the video, get your comments in below. What are you thinking? I'll speak to you very soon.